All right, so here we have Justin Shaft on the left, Cody Gilbert on the right. Cody is our player who came in from the LCQ, and Justin is the one who played in most of these challenges.
Yeah, Cody's got a little bit of a co-pilot here, a little Ratatouille situation. He's going to be getting the strings pulled, I think, for his game here. And it looks like we're going to be getting Diggy Hole here again on Justin Shaft's side. I see a 7 Dwarfs mine, and then I think you believe, I think you know that the deck that Cody's playing, was it Blurple?
I believe it is Blurple. It's Blurple is the affectionate name for blue purple, which is amethyst sapphire here in Lorcana. But the name Blurple is just fun to say. Yeah. I can't ever not say it.
It's such a Disney name, right? It just sounds very Disney-ish.
Like a character from Strange World or something. Yeah. But yeah, so this would be an interesting matchup. We've seen this this aggressive Amber Steel deck before. We saw it in round 1. It's called by some people Diggy Diggy Hole because the person who popularized it, Brennan DeCandio, named his deck that, and so you'll hear people refer to it as that. It is a very fast deck. It's meant to win quickly if possible, and there's a few cards that came out this set which kind of unleashed this deck, and it's actually been more popular today than I expected.
This is a deck that I expected to be pretty highly played this weekend, but I think the red-blue kind of helping suppress that numbers a little bit. If you wanted to play anything in these colors, this was the deck that I think was going to grab you. I think that was the big thing this weekend is, were you going to play this deck in Diggy Diggy Hole? Were you going to play some form of Amethyst deck? Did you want to play Genie? I think was that the question. Or did you want to play red-blue? Because I think the format has pretty much devolved to that for me. There are some decks on the fringes that are good, that are playable, but of the most played decks, those are the 3 things that you see the players choosing from.
That's true. Talking about Amethyst here, you mentioned that color. Other than the Ruby Sapphire deck you talked about, and then these Amber Steel decks, whether it's Steel Song or the aggressive variant, you do have the Amethyst decks, and a lot of them are very, very similar. They're clones of each other with colors splashed in. I'll talk more about that in a moment because we are off to the races.
Yeah, you see that Pluto getting put into the ink, and on turn 1, Daisy Duck. That is something that you really, really want in this deck in almost all of your matches. It's going to give Cody some cards here. Most of the Blurple decks play about 80 to 90% characters. He's going to draw some cards of it, but that lore count is going to get up high. Cody, though, he's looking to ramp up into these 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drops and getting them out early. I mean, we don't know for sure, but usually these decks play a lot of the typical stuff that you see purple early, and they're going to be capping out at 7-drop Hades, 8-drop Elsa. And I don't know if you've played against those cards before. They are very powerful.
Very powerful on the top end for sure. Yeah, the core of this deck, this Amethyst core, is going to be something that you're going to see all weekend long, because most of these Amethyst decks, the core is just so strong and so consistent that they're consistent across many of these decks. The question is, what do you pair it with? Those going Blurple are making the bet that, hey, I can go faster than my opponent's Amethyst decks by using cards like Tipo or Sail the Azurite Sea to ramp me into my bigger cards faster, get my Genie on the deck earlier, and that's what this deck wants to do in the field today. So Justin knows that the longer this game goes on, inevitability is with the Amethyst Sapphire deck, and so looking to get high lore on the board as early as possible, trying to close this game out before the Blurple deck has access to its high lore or higher cost characters.
Speaking of high lore early, that Daisy Duck did go ahead and get those 2 lore points. Genie added to Cody's hand and a Tipo draw for the turn, so maybe we're going to have Tipo into a Genie draw, which is really good for Cody. Piglet turn 2 from Justin, threatening to have 5 more lore added here on turn 3 from Justin, so really ideal start from Justin. Let's see if Cody has one of his ideal starts here as well. We did see that Tipo. That's what's going to come down. Another card from his hand is going to be going into the inkwell here. Going to make him have 4 ink on turn 3, and that's where this deck really starts to get going, right, Liam?
No, absolutely. And I can't, and I didn't get a great look at the hand, but if Tipo was in fact not in the hand or Sail the Azurite Sea before turn 2, that draw there is so impactful because this deck really wants to hit one of those 2 drops on turn 2 to keep it ramping into the end game. So what a great draw. And kind of a great opening here for Cody. Justin, though, also on a very good opening with a 3-lore character in Piglet. Once he drops another character, requesting for 5 next turn.
If he didn't have the Tipo or the Sail the Azurite Sea already, you can see the drawback that Daisy Duck does. Getting that extra card into Cody's hand made him get to that Tipo in turn 2 if he didn't already have something like that. So huge effect on the game already. Looking at Justin's hand, he has a couple 2-drops and a 1-drop there in the Happy, so maybe 2 more characters getting deployed here this turn. I see a lot of Piglets here as well. Does he want to play this one to the board? Does he want to use it for ink? Like Justin's having a go at that decision. Strength of a Raging Fire put into the inkwell. He's going to go ahead and play another Piglet here. Can't blame him. That's going to add so much threatening lore to the play. Let's see. What does Cody get off the top? Very good chance he's going to draw another card here. Oh, that's one of the misses.
Yeah, not there are definitely more misses in here than you'll see in Emerald Amethyst, but kind of a bummer to miss there. And then we're going wide here. So getting another piglet on the board here. Now, both of those piglets are going to be set up to quest for 3 next turn, unless we can remove 2 characters from the board. So Cody's got some work to do on his turn.
Piglet and Happy added for Justin here. Tons of lore play already up to 7. Cody has 0, but going back over to Cody's side, he's got a way to challenge this Piglet. The Cheerbox followers can do a good job of trading here, but it doesn't get cashed in for another card. It does, however, deny the Piglet to Justin here, as we get a good view of these players.
Yeah, this really strong opening here from Justin. There's other 3 drops here where you can go higher lore. You can do things like Lawrence, and there's other things you can do. But in this scenario, going wide forces Cody to have numerous answers to shut off these piglets because they're so strong.
Yeah, great point here, because a really ideal thing from Cody here is if he doesn't play a 4-drop is like maybe he has a Fox where he picks up Tebow or a Crab here on Tebow. That's huge because that's going to allow him to take out the Daisy Duck here. And then if he wants, the Chernobog followers is also going to take out the Piglet here.
Yes.
So tons of lore denied from Justin here. Great turn here from Cody. This is what I like to call crab check. You need to know early in the game when they're questing on the side of the aggro decks, you need to have a crab a lot of times to make sure your 1-drops can trade into these characters that have high toughness and make sure that you can get these trades and stuff off the board. So Cody up to the task here, even follows it up with another 1-drop of another Box follower. So we're back over to Justin for his turn 4 here. Flush with characters, going to be able to use that Piglet to get extras. So it does look like a Lilo's going to get followed up here. Along with, is that a Doc as his last card? That's exactly what he wants. 2 more cards added to gas up his hand here. Both look like they were Lawrence off the top here. And that Piglet is exerting for 3 lore here this turn as well. If he wants to do it, it will be kind of a sacrifice of the character, but he's got a huge lore lead. How much does he want to cash in on this? Or does he want to wait for just a little bit? Does look like he's going to cash it in here. He's going to go ahead and get 4 lore off those 2 characters.
Yes, pushing himself up to 10, pushing the tempo here, taking that aggressive role still. Cody, I don't think we can ignore the impact of that last turn. Justin basically saying, hey, I'm going to run away with this game unless you have a way to not only remove one of these piglets with the Chernobog followers, but either a Fox or a Crab as another answer. If you go and do what a lot of Amethyst deck wants to do and play the Genie on turn 4 and draw a card, you're going to leave me with a pretty wide board and a lot of lore. And so Cody having the answer there, a pivotal turn.
That's actually a really good point, too. The fact that we were going into a 4-ink turn for Cody, and he made it to where he's like, hey, you need a Crab or a Rush character. Those cost 3. So if Cody didn't have another 1-drop there, then his turn was going to be a little inefficient on the ink as well. So Justin kind of set him up for possibly having an inefficient turn there. We do see the trade come through onto the dock there. I'm sorry, onto the Happy.
Fox into the Inkwell, which sets up a 5 lore character. It is Elsa, the 5th spirit, exerting that Lilo as she comes into play.
Yeah. And Elsa's really good at making sure these Lilos, if they keep coming back, it's dealt with turn after turn after turn. Really high toughest character that can trade in, and that's another trade from the Crab into the Piglet and the Lilo as well. So the forces have been decimated here for Justin. A lot of banishing going on for his characters.
Well, this is going to be a challenging spot for this Amber Steel aggro deck. It wants to go fast. Unfortunately, it can burn out early once your opponent is able to gain a little bit of control of the board. Justin, with a few cards in hand, he can play a Lawrence and a Cinderella this turn, establish a little bit, but Cody now with some stronger characters on board. You have the Crab, which is available to bounce perhaps, giving challenger to something else. Looking at his hand, we do have an Accomplished Mystic, which can move damage counters around when it comes into play. So lots of options available for Cody on his turn to do some shenanigans and keep the board under control. So really going to be a challenge to crawl back for Justin here, I think.
Absolutely. It looks like he's going to start that clawback with a Lawrence. It's going to be followed up by a Cinderella and a pass over here. No lore gain for Justin here, but I think that's a problem for him that you're going to see the rest of this game is this board is getting big and it's getting problematic on Cody's side. So challenges are going to be hard. Generally, the Blurple deck is going to be way better at challenging than the Amber Steel deck. So you can see Cody kind of leveraging that here in the way this game is played out. We're back over to him. Box follower is going to go ahead and quest. I have to believe he's going to get cashed in for a card here. Looks like it is. But he's going to get a fresh one off the top.
Yeah, I think I want to say, I think a McDuck Manor was drawn for turn. I'm not sure what he just drew.
Yeah, that 5-drop Bell would be great here, getting to move those damage counters over to something else. He wants lots of other options for him as well. We saw, I think there's a genie in the hand as well if he wants to get another fresh card off the top here this turn.
Yeah, and I will say, we talked about how it'll be a challenge. Really every deck generally has outs, and there are some outs here as well. Stringing together a few docks in the right order could really allow you to go wide, drawing 2 cards each time a dock is played. So there are draws Justin could have to kind of put him back into it. We do see, I think, an autographed McDuck Manor there heading into the Inkwell for Bell Accomplished Mystic, which will allow him to shift 2 damage counters from that Elsa over to Cinderella.
Yep, the Magic Broom, so we still got the trigger for the Magic Broom from Bell coming to play. Does he want to cash this in? It does look like Cody wants to cash this in. The cards just keep flowing for Cody here, and you see what makes purple so good here. Not only are the cards good, but it makes sure that your hand gets refilled as the game goes on as well. Back over to Justin. His board has been decimated these last 2 turns. That Cinderella getting taken away from him means the song off the top is going to be a little less efficient than it was. Still able to be sung by Lawrence, though.
Losing that Cinderella so painful here. If that Cinderella is on board, and it was ready, but Bell Accomplished Mystic, a card that allows you to get around that mechanic and also around resist for what it's worth, but allowing him to remove that ready Cinderella, being able to sing Let the Storm Rage On here allows him to remove the cab, draw a card, and keep things going.
Yeah, I think it's such a big deal that you highlighted this Bell. This is a card that we've seen getting played more and more lately. And I think it has a lot to do with the proliferation of Genie. You have your Genie, you can attack into theirs, you can challenge into theirs, and then you can move your Genie's damage counters over to their Genie's damage counters and banish it that way, lots of other ways. And it curves really well. It just gives you, it's kind of like having extra copies of the Elsa in the 5-drop slot, because we see that as well. A lot of Genie on Genie action going on with Elsa plus Genie being able to challenge in. And you're going to hear this. I know we're talking a lot about the Genie Wars. We're going to talk about a lot about it this weekend, I believe. You're going to see that happening very often. It does look like that. I'm going to go ahead and take care of the Merlin Crab. A fresh card off the top for Justin here. I see a Pete, and I think it was Pete and Lawrence were left over in his hand. Does he want to put one of these into his Inkwell? Does he want to keep deploying this as the game goes on?
Yeah, it's just so tough here. Ideally, again, Justin wants to go wide and force Cody to have the answers, but not able to play another character here.
I was going to say, do you feel like Justin can quest here? It looks like he thinks he can, so he goes ahead and grabs 3 more up to 14. That Lawrence is still a 4-4 right now, but might not be for long.
And I think this is the right play. Justin knowing that, again, the longer this game goes on, the more cards Cody's going to be able to draw, the more answers he's going to have. So I have to get the lure when I can and try to force a situation where I'm dropping 1 character a turn that has to be answered, forcing Cody to have the Elsas or the answers to deal with ready characters. Really wants to force that game state. Cody here finally dropping. That's the first Genie that you and I have seen today.
Yeah, we've had a chance to see more of them. They were hiding quite a bit. The lamp had not been rubbed correctly, but it looks like we finally got our first Genie of the day for us here in round 3. Cody does the Genie, gets to draw an extra card here as well. Puts that Tipo into the Inkwell and follows it up with another Diablo here as well. So as you can see, what I was talking about earlier, not only are these cards powerful from the blue-purple deck, but most of them replace themselves as well. And here's the attack that I thought was going to happen here. It looks like Elsa is going to go ahead and attack into Lawrence. It's going to take 4, but that character's going to stay around. Lawrence no longer has any strength, so Bell's going to go ahead and challenge into it and not take any damage there as well. So another board cleanup spot for Cody. Is that generally how the blue-purple deck is going to be in this matchup? Are they going to be trying to do as much board control as they can?
Generally, it depends on the role that deck is in. If that deck is on the player in the draw, if it's shifted from the control role and the react role into the beatdown or the aggressive role. In this scenario, this deck is forced to be in the control role because of his opponent, Cody's opponent, and so but it is very effective as a control deck. What I will say is it's not as effective at control as some of the other purple clones that we see in the meta. Purple Steel has a lot of songs like Along Came Zeus, Let Storm Rage On, Strength of Raging Fire, which give it more control options. Ruby, of course, has cards like Be Prepared and plenty of removal options available. This deck has to lean into challenging more. It does have Hades on the top end, which can do some control, but this deck is going to do its control through Bell Accomplished Mystics, through Elsas, and that's really how it's going to accomplish, it's board control.
Lawrence and Calhoun added for Justin here. A lot of lore possible for him next turn. He's up to 15. 2 more possibly from the Lawrence. 1 or 2 from Calhoun, depending on how Cody challenges here. He does have a couple of evasive characters that he can maybe challenge with that Calhoun won't be able to challenge. But you can see right there that during your turn, if this character banishes another character in a challenge, you gain 2 lures. You could possibly get 2 off that. So nice little play here. Diablo's going to go ahead and challenge in. Yeah, like it's just going to take some damage, not doing it itself, but it means that another card gets cashed in for Cody here. And you can see that he's really put a premium on getting all these extra cards and having as many options as he can during all of his turns. I love that he started his turn off with that and all his turns as well.
So I think what we're seeing here, I just talked about how there aren't very many direct removal options, and by that I mean cards that like action cards.
There's no dragon fire.
There's
right?
no dragon
there's
fire.
No brawl.
There's no direct damage, as it were. And so here we go. But here's a beautiful option. This is a let it go.
Let it go.
Yeah, which is being sung here to send a character to the inkwell. This is a great draw for Cody.
Goes in, puts the Lawrence away. The Doc is gone as well, leaving Justin with just a Calhoun.
Yeah, but we do see Bell there is vulnerable to a challenge from Calhoun. It'll be a trade, but it'll allow Justin to get 2 lore closer to victory.
Yep, and that Lilo does come back out of the banish area as well. Cody, like you said, left over with that Bell with 1 damage on it. That looks like a prime target for this Calhoun to challenge into, since it is really the only target for it to challenge into anyway, with both of the other characters having evasive here. Fresh card off the top for Justin. Should be able to play practically any card out of his deck with that 4 ink left over.
But there it is. We have Bell being removed and Calhoun gaining 2 lore for Justin, putting him 3 lore away from winning. Of course, getting that Lilo back on the board forces Cody to have to deal with that rather than devoting resources to advancing his lore.
Yeah, it looks like Genie is going to be on trade mode here for the next few turns with this Lilo. It looks like a pass over from Justin here. I did not get a chance to see what the card was, but got to wonder what it is if he's not going to play it there. There's maybe a few misses. We've seen some 5, 6, and 7 drops make their way into this deck as 1-ofs or 2-ofs at times. Could be maybe a big Cinderella. We've seen that show up in spots or two. So wonder what it is left over from Justin there.
We have. There are some options available, but it is probably a 5-drop.
All right, Cody, let me know if you've heard this before. He's going to start his turn off by drawing an extra card here, it looks like. That's a Merlin Rabbit. Yep, for Cody here, fresh card.
Amethyst is what Amethyst. So talking about this Blurple deck again, I do want to talk about this purple shell. One of the things I find interesting about the blue-purple pairing is a lot of the other decks have to pick and choose cards out of the purple shell that they want to include. The core is very much the same, but there's certain options you can mix in and mix out. This deck actually borrows very, very, very few cards from Sapphire. And so these decks go very, very heavy Amethyst, gets them all of the best Amethyst cards, and then subs in a few blue cards just for ramp, and then for a little bit of control on the top end. But you'll notice we're seeing mostly the Amethyst core here.
It does look like that Lilo is going to come back yet again. It makes you really wonder what this card was left. I see a Piglet. Justin says what he drew for there. It was that Strength of a Raging Fire.
Yes.
Oh, no, it was a Daisy. Okay, that's what it was. And so a Piglet left over. A lot of extra lore to be added here. That's 17. That is really scary if you're Cody. Cody needs to interact with this board more than just the Lilo here. Because if another character comes off the top, I was going to say, it doesn't even need another character. That's 3 right now off the Daisy and the Piglet. So card drawn from Genie. Can he find, say, another Elsa here? Can he find...
Wow. We need an Elsa. We need an Elsa.
I was going to say, we don't have the exact deck list of him here, but...
So another Let It Go.
Another Let It Go.
Suffice.
Yeah, along with an inked card. Yep. Let's see, there's the ink. Goat.
We have it. It's an accomplished Mystic. That will do it too, because now we can shift the damage onto the Piglet, remove the Piglet, and challenge into the Lilo. So, perfect card he needed to keep this under control.
Not to mention, Cody's at 7 lore here. I believe that's what he's at. And so he's going to have to start luring up and get this game over with too as quickly as possible. So it looks like the Genie might still be on trade duty here. Oh, actually, I believe we're going to start doing it more with the Elsa because the Genie does quest for 2 here, and that's important.
Yeah, it's a question. It's the Rabbit.
Looks like the Rabbit. That makes more sense, actually, because you'd like the Rabbit to get taken away as early as possible, draw that extra card. Does look like this is going to be a quest for a few more here. I believe up to 10. Yeah. 11 for Cody here.
All right, let's see. So we're going to... Oh, my goodness. This is a knife's edge. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to do public math here. 6, 7, 8. So almost enough to win the game. If not enough to win the game on board, then it is enough with the goat.
I think he's got 9.
9. So it is enough. It is the perfect amount to win.
Speaking of perfect, the perfect top deck here for Justin.
Oh my goodness.
Into a Strength of a Raging Fire, into a Cinderella. He's got exactly enough left to do this.
Exactly enough to remove something from the board.
All right, this will be for 3. So he can take care of one of the he can take care of the genie that has damage on it here if he wants. Is that his best target?
Wow.
So if he takes care of the genie, that leaves over what, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. You would go up to 18. Do you have a way to bounce the Merlin goat here is the question at that point. And do you quest with your Daisy Duck?
I think you have to. Let's do this. Strength of Raging Fire into the genie. You called it.
I was gonna say, if this is a bounce character, oh, you see Justin, he's like, think about it. Can I get away with not questing here? All right, he looks like he's going to go ahead and go quest. He's going to go to 19, make sure all of his cards can win the game next turn. Let's see, what's the top card? Turn box followers.
That's not...
I think is that the only card left in Cody's hand?
Oh, let's see. Oh, this is so tight.
We've seen some amazing top decks here this weekend. Let's see if we can get another one. Oh, it's an Elsa! Oh my lord, this is a very powerful card for Cody here. That is an 8-drop Elsa that is going to exert 2 characters. Going to do a lot of math here from Cody.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that's going to exert 2 characters. They're not going to be able to ready the start of the next turn. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's going to make sure all 3 of them get taken out by Justin, and Justin's going to scoop it up here. What an amazing set of top decks between the 2 players. What is going on today, Liam?
I don't know. I mean, what? All right, so here we are in game 2, and I believe it was the Amber Steel deck on the play last game, which is where it wants to be. So now a little bit more of a challenge because Amber Steel is going to have to win on the draw.
Yeah, I think I do see a Cinderella in Justin's opening. It looks like 2 of them, no song yet, but that is one of the scarier openings in this matchup. If you're the Blurple side, you don't want to be seeing Cinderella because that one represents so many good early plays from him and can really get you out ahead.
Do the Cinderella. Interesting too. We do see the Gantu in there, the Gantu. That's not a card that's run in every one of these variants. It's a very high lore character, but we're going to mulligan most of those away, or sorry, alter most of those away. And
I was gonna say the Decandio camp that they were all playing this deck this weekend. There's like 3 or 4 of them. I think they had actually gone to playing 1 or 2 Gantus in their deck for this week. I'm not 100% on that. I know that he was saying, he was like, I'm back and forth on it. You know, I don't want to give away too much tech for some of the other players, but I know the ones in the LCQs were trying out 1 copy of Gantu.
Well, and it's a great card to note because it does have 4 lore. It's one of the few cards in the game that has 4 lore. So that is a deck that gives this deck a little bit of an answer in the late game if it stalls out. So we see if this goes long again, if that card makes a difference.
Yeah, I think the only card Justin kept was a Cinderella, giving him the best chance at drawing some impactful 2-drops, maybe a song or 2, and really, really press that advantage. Speaking of impactful 2-drops, I see a Calhoun. That is one of the cards that's really impactful in this matchup because of the fact, you know, we don't challenge super well out of Amber Steel, but this one does a very good job of it.
Cody getting off strong. Finders Keepers into the Inkwell. A turn 1 pass, no turn 1 play.
Does look like that turn 1 Cinderella here as well.
That's interesting. So here, the Cinderella play, if you go right into Let the Storm Rage On, which I don't think we have, but had we had it, it's not as impactful on the draw as it is on the play because your opponent gets to build 2 characters on their board. But here, no turn 1 play. We do have the Tipo, though, on turn 2, which is exactly what Cody wants to do.
Yeah, I think I see some 4-drops and some 5-drops in Cody's hand. I think I see an Elsa and possibly a Goat as well. So he's ramping up to exactly what he wants to do. Pete put into the Inkwell here into a Smee.
A Smee, great turn 2 play here. Very strong. 3/3, quest for 2.
And here you see the play draw difference. If Justin was on the play, he'd be able to quest with the Cinderella on turn 1 from his turn 1 Cinderella into turn 2. Turn 2, he can't do that here because if he does that, it allows this Tipo, if there was something like a crab or something behind it, to really get a ton of value for Cody. And you don't want to give up that much value for 1 lore off your Cinderella.
Here we have a turn 4 Goat. Turn 4 Goat is not the ideal play with a lot of these Amethyst Shells. It's something you want to save for later, but it is one of the cards in this deck, the mid-game cards with the highest strength. It is something that can take care of Smee if that's something Cody's concerned about, and perhaps not a lot of other turn 4 options here, and I don't think there are. We do have the Crab, and I'm trying to see what the other card is. It is a Friend, so a card that can sing Friends on the next turn, possibly setting that up to get him some card draw here mid-game.
Justin with a lot of gas here. And I see a Happy, a Calhoun, I think another Daisy, a Pluto, the Smee that he's deploying here as well. So there's a chance he's going to be playing multiple characters for the next multiple turns as well. Happy into the Inkwell. It's going to go ahead and put out that second Daisy of the match. He's going to go ahead and gain 2 lore. Just here, it's going to be taking a damage at the end of this turn as well.
Yeah, strong play from Justin here, going wide, forcing Cody to have the answers. I think Playing the goat there signifies that Cody doesn't have the ideal hand. Again, Genie is a card that's available that you want to be playing on turn 4. And there's others. So kind of noting that this deck may be off its game plan a little bit, trying to go wide, build that lore total like we saw last game, and put himself within striking distance.
5th ink here, very important for Cody. He's going to allow him to play this Elsa Spirit here. What does he want to tap down? It looks like he's going to tap down that Daisy Duck. This is a really good interaction for Cody here. It's going to allow him to use the Merlin Goat, take care of that there. The Elsa's going to go ahead and take care of the Mr. Smee as well. And Cody has been exerting so much control over the board and the characters from Justin this match. He just keeps doing it here as well.
Yeah, I think this is a scenario Justin says, hey, if you have the answers, you have the answers. I'm going to go wide. I'm going to try to close this down. If you have the Elsa or the Goat, you have it. But forcing Cody in the position here to have to play the control role.
Yep, that Tipo sitting around from Cody as well. It's going to be a really good Merlin Crab target later in this game, or something to bounce as well if he has one of the Madam Mim cards. Tipo really does a lot of heavy lifting in this match for this deck. This is one of the better Tipo decks that we have in Lorcana. Tipo gets so much value when he gets in the Blurple deck. We're back over to Justin, though. Got that Smee, got that Cinderella. A couple of options here. I see a Calhoun, a Happy, I believe. We had a Bodyguard in hand as well, if I see that right. Yeah, that's a Pluto. And it looks like a Piglet as well. Lots of options here. See, does Justin want to put multiple characters out, or does he want to maybe Bodyguard here with the Pluto? A couple of different routes he can go here. Any of them feel stronger to you?
Oh, this is a challenging situation to be in. I do think the Bodyguard perhaps forcing, it would have to force a couple characters in there, forcing Cody to devote a couple characters to taking care of it. Obviously, one of them would be banished, as Pluto is a lot stronger when he's undamaged. Instead, we're going to go with the Piglet, and we're going to go wide here, Calhoun. Let's see if we build this board and then drop the Pluto next turn, and that's probably what we're going to do, then forcing that interaction and giving your characters, giving that Piglet, hopefully, a free quest. Yeah, a
little patience shown from Justin here. It's a no questing here as well, because very good chances that if he were to quest here, he'd be losing all of those characters. Back over to Cody. Yeah, no, he's got for his turn 6.
Cody does have that friend from the other side, so now not having to spend time challenging into things unless he has something to exert, something on Justin's side of the board. He can sing friends from the other side, draw a few more cards, and recharge his hand.
Seems like a little update on the damage counter as well there. Let's see how Cody wants to start his turn. Generally, if you're going to be drawing extra cards here, it's one of the first things that you want to be doing. You want to get all of the information before you make your decisions. Wonder if Cody's going to be singing this. You got to believe he is. It looks like Elsa's going to sing it here as well. The evasive character singing. Very powerful play here, since nothing on Justin's side is going to be able to... Woo. There's no Happy. I think we saw another Friends from the other side added here. Plus, is that an Elsa?
That is an enchanted Elsa. One of the most beautiful cards in the game. I love to see it played.
You're going to love it. Cody's going to love it. Justin will not. I'll tell you that right now. He's not going to think that's a pretty card.
That is true.
Especially after how good it was in the other game.
Yeah, it's one of the things we're seeing right now that makes Amethyst so strong as a color. It's the card draw, frankly, is one of the things that sets it apart. Because when you get into the mid game here, as you're running through cards, friends from the other side, rabbits, genies, there's so many cards which allow to recharge your hand to propel you into the end game. We're going to see that make the difference here. Where Justin's only way to do that really is to start cycling docks and maybe hit a lucky Rapunzel if there's some damage counters sticking around. And without that, you're going to see a huge difference in terms of resources.
Speaking of difference in terms of resources, the second Friends from the other side was played here this turn. Now we're going to see that Crab that gets played, but for no value here because no challenging done here. It looks like it's just a turn, again, of setup from both the players, from Justin and from Cody. Cody set up for later, drew a bunch of extra cards, still has his characters around to challenge really well. And this Elsa does not have a chance of being challenged from Justin anytime soon. No evasive setup just yet.
And we're really seeing the identity of this deck on full display here because, you know, once we get to deploy that Elsa Spirit of Winter, it can really lock things down. Justin needs to put some lore pressure on here. And so once Cody's able to exert 2 characters, they don't exert at the start of the next turn. That gives Cody plenty of time to deal with the threats. And that's exactly what this deck is trying to do. Stall a little bit, get towards the Hades, towards the Elsas, and then shut the game down once it has those big characters available.
It does look like we're going to start the lore train up for Justin here. 2 off the Smee. It does look like he's going to play the Pluto, but the Pluto is not in bodyguard mode here. So Me is able to be challenged here, but we've already seen the crab come out of Cody's hand, so there's no crab to play on the depot, we hope, at least, if you're Cody's side.
Yeah, so one of the calculations here, of course, crab gives a challenger when it enters and leaves play. So if you leave a character on that side of the board able to be challenged, then that opens up some really efficient challenges once that crab is banished.
Yeah, you know, if there's something like a Madam Mim Fox here, Madam Mim Snake that can pick up the crab here, put it on the Tipo, let the Tipo get a little extra value. I think I see a Goat, an Elsa, and a mystery card from Cody's hand here. Back over to Justin's side, I think this would actually be one of those really good spots for Akita here anytime soon. Get to play Akita, just quest out for a full turn, and then that might be able to like start to slam the door shut for Justin. And that's where we've really seen that card shine, is in spots like this. You know, we mentioned that in round one. Sometimes, you know, if you have it, say, like into the red-blue matchup, you can't even play the card. Like, playing it feels awful. But in matchups like this, that card can really swing games.
No, that's a great point. You know, that's one of the big outs for Justin here. Drawing a Keto now would leave him unchecked, able to quest for a turn. Of course, Cody would have some answers. There's cards that give challenger and you know, rush cards he could play. But yeah, that would allow him to maximize the value of his cards on the field. And perhaps what his game plan is here is just draw towards that out.
Yep, Cody taking his time here, drew a lot of extra cards last turn, so he's got a lot of options. We got to see if any of them are extremely attractive to him this turn.
Perhaps getting some advice from Remy there on his shoulder.
Oh, it did look like he, you know, peeked over a little bit. It was like, what were you saying? What's going on? Remy pulling the strings. All right, like we've always talked about, we're going to draw extra cards. Let's do it first. So fresh one here from Cody off the top. Genie deployed, getting that extra free card.
Yeah, Genie, I mean, while things are a little slow here, I'll talk about Genie for a second. You're going to hear a lot of us, you know, commentators talk about him all day long. He's in every Amethyst shell, 4 of. He's a fantastic card. Not only does he have a great stat line, a 2/4, that critical 4 willpower, the quest for 2. He's evasive, but then he also replaces himself. And one of the things that makes that so good is when you put him on the board, he's almost a must answer for your opponent. They have to devote resources to taking care of it. And when they do, like let's say, for example, you're playing against Ruby Amethyst and they brawl that character. Well, now your opponent is down a card, they're down a brawl. And yes, you're down a Genie, but Genie has replaced himself. So net, you know, you're still doing well. Genie is such a powerful card. You're going to see it all day long here. Yeah, it's the second one I think we've seen this game, or this match at least.
Magic Broom added here as well. That crab that we talked about earlier is going to go ahead and challenge into that Smee, take care of it. And Elsa is going to get a little bit of lore on the side of Cody here because that evasive is just so powerful. And again, Justin with no evasive characters back on his side. So back over to Justin. I think he had 1 card left over from last turn. Second card drawn here. Yep, 2 cards left in the hand. Have to see what Justin wants to do here. This game a lot slower paced than the first one. These players feeling each other out, getting lore when they can, taking the challenges when they can. Nobody wants to make a critical mistake at this point. The game will just come crumbling down around them.
Yeah, one thing that's worth noting here, I'll remind everybody that Elsa, Spirit of Winter, is a Floodborn, and we do have an Elsa on the field. So normally costs 8 to play, but it can shift in for 6. So Cody able to do that efficiently if he wants to.
Yeah, really good point. There is the shift line available to him if he wants it. I mean, man, he might just want the second character to play here. I think he's got 7 ink here, so he has another inkable here, which... look, we're going to talk about it all weekend long. Here's another Genie. And here, you know what? The first Genie finds the second Genie a lot faster, too. So, Genie into Rabbit. And this is the kind of game Cody is wanting to play in this matchup.
Now, here the Amethyst is firing on all cylinders, getting the characters it wants to in play. You have 2 Genies in play representing 4 lore. You know, Cody here able to leave characters up, quest with the Genies, close out the game. I do think Justin's plan here is likely drawing for that Kita. We do have enough cards to ink and then play the Kita if we draw it, giving us that quest. But the problem is Cody only has to quest 1 or 2 more times to put him within 1 turn striking distance from ending the game. So even if Justin draws his out, Cody here setting himself up where Justin has to play that control role or else he's going to lose the game.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that a mine here would go to the Inkwell, but following that up with a dock kind of makes sense here. Get a little value off the mine. Go ahead, put it in the Inkwell, play dock, draw 2 fresh ones. Let's see what they were going to be. I mean, the mine takes a while to get going, but on a board like this, you could have maybe done some inroads of really getting some damage. You could have taken Elsa out of play this turn. You could have taken the goat out of play this turn, possibly. Very interesting.
I think the challenge, it's just too much. There's so much willpower on the board. Instead, drawing into Let the Storm Rage On, singing that with Cinderella, drawing another card. I think we're cycling for the Kita most likely, trying to find that answer.
Looks like another song drawn here. Yep, a Raging Fire that's going to take care of the goat. Cody's going to go up one more lore here, but from the goats leaving play. Enough characters in there to take care of practically everything out of Cody's deck. It does seem like we're going to start questing. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lore for Justin here. Now that Pluto has become exerted, though. Justin up to 9 here now. And oh, a mine left over here as well. That ended up working out well for Justin here. So mine left over. Got to get some questing in here. Does have a knight on his side of the board ready to go next turn in that dock as well. Back over to Cody here, though. Tons of ink, tons of cards, and tons of options for him here. Tons of targets to start challenging into. So now Justin has put Cody in the spot where, hey, I'm ahead now. I've got characters in play. I was patient. I've got a ton in play here. I've got a mine. You figure this out.
You do the math. So as you said, plenty of resources available. We'll see. Cody able to do some math here. And unfortunately, Justin wasn't able to climb quite high enough where this put him, a character 2 away from winning. So we're going to see how Cody chooses to sequence this. I guarantee we're going to see plenty of characters banished here. But there'll probably a couple remaining. There are some high willpower cards up there.
Yeah, I don't hate this play from Justin, honestly. It's forcing Cody to have to start challenge again, right? If he waits too long, Cody was going to start getting a lower lead that was going to be insurmountable with these evasive stuff. So now cards are going to start attacking him. The problem is there was a Pluto left over. So now, there was a Tipo left over. So it gets a challenge into the Pluto. Now the Pluto has less power, but he still has to get through 5 points of willpower here on this. That's going to leave a lot of his characters exerted. So Justin can get some good challenge into that if he wants. Or if this 7 Dwarfs Mine is left over, which I believe it is, unless there's some foxes going on here, that might start taking over the game from here.
That's true. Fun note on the Tipo, you kept highlighting how he was sticking around. That card was used on turn 2 to gain an extra resource. And then just sat there all game waiting for its moment. But here we see,
oh boy,
oh my goodness, Shining, Shimmering, Splendid. It's this Enchanted Elsa card, one of the most beautiful cards in the game. Hitting the table, exerting 2 characters. Now, they're already exerted, but choosing them means they won't be able to ready at the start of the next turn. So Justin's setting those aside to indicate those are frozen until my next turn.
I see what you did there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Did he go ahead and pick off 2 of the better characters from Justin while locking down the Piglet and the Calhoun from being able to challenge next turn? That Calhoun was going to loom heavy for Justin here, but now it won't. Looks like, all right, we're going to do the Lilo check. No Lilo, card off the top here. 7 Dwarfs Mine still available. I didn't get a good look at that, but I thought it might have been a knight for a second. A dock would be a heck of a top deck here. I don't know if that's it, though.
I got the briefest of looks. I'm not confident enough to say what I thought it was. So here we are spreading those characters out again, indicating that we've passed the turn where they can't ready. Vulnerable to challenges here this turn. And gosh, just a challenging position. A dock would have been great. But I don't know. Let's see what Justin has.
Yeah, I don't know if this turn would have taken this long if it was a dock off top.
For sure.
I'm saying it looked like it might have been one of the dwarves to me, so maybe it's a happy. No, is that another Pluto?
It's
another
Pluto.
I was going to say, I knew it was a steel card. It looks like another Pluto. Maybe. Okay, so this is why it's taken a while. If he deploys the Pluto here, he cannot move anything to the mine because the mine costs 2 to move a character to that location. So hand kind of working against Justin here.
Yeah, the challenge is, of course, those 2 characters that are exerted there, I bet will not be around next turn to bodyguard. So one of these scenarios, yeah, do you focus on a little bit of removal, or do you put this Pluto out and protect those 2 characters, forcing your opponent to trade, to devote some resources to banishing the Pluto?
Really difficult spot here for Justin. One of the hardest decisions he's going to have to make was him drawing a 4-drop here. A 3-drop, a 2-drop, or 1-drop would have been perfect for Justin here. Would have been able to work out this turn very cleanly. Now he's got to make a decision between the 2 roads.
But again, I will highlight again, just a difficult scenario, though. Even with the Pluto on the board, Cody's sitting with a card over there and the rabbit that he doesn't mind necessarily banishing and sending to the discard pile in order to gain another card. So Definitely some good trades available. This is a spot for Justin.
It does look like he's going to go ahead and move over one of his characters. Yeah, you can see him double. Yeah, there we go, Pluto. And I kind of wonder if like you just have to Pluto here because of the point you made, where if you don't put Pluto and bodyguard here, there might not be characters to bodyguard next turn left over. So it does look like Pluto is going to be exerted into play here. It is a 5/5 right now, while it does not have damage on it. So only character that can challenge into it without giving up itself is the Elsa. Oh, I spoke a little too soon. That's a
dear.
Hades from Cody.
Hades, another Chapter 1 card. Both Hades and Elsa, illustrated by Matthew Robert Davies, I'll highlight. Fantastic Lorcana artist. Choosing that Pluto, sending it to the Inkwell, giving him another resource, but better in the Inkwell than on the field.
And this is going to be a really rough turn for Justin here. I think Cody's going to be able to clean up, if not all of it, most of the board here. Either all the characters are going, plus the mine, or the mine plus most of the characters. We'll see. Looks like we're going to go ahead and take out that Calhoun right away with the Elsa. Rabbit, I believe, probably going to go into Piglet here. Yeah, it looks like the Rabbit's going to go ahead and go into the Piglet. It's going to get an extra card here for Cody as well. Doesn't matter that we've made a play before drawing here, because I think this play was as scripted out as it could be. Both of these attacks go into the Dock, so Dock is gone, taking away a knight from Justin. So he's going to be left over with the mine. He's going to get a lore from it. Elsa's going to lore up here as well, but there are no cards in Justin's hand, and the hope of him winning this game is about the same amount if it's not a Dock off the top of the deck here. Turn-box followers, last play from Cody here. He's got a huge board with a ton of lore. Is it a Dock? Oh,
And
it's
it is
a Rapunzel. Oh,
a beautiful Rapunzel, but a Rapunzel nonetheless.
A little late on that one now. He does get to move this over. Is going to do a damage somewhere. He can pick off this Elsa, I believe, if he wants.
Well, here we are on Cody's side of the board. I think he's going to be able to close out the game here. I mean, nothing left to be done except close it out and the handshake.
Yeah, it looks like Cody's just going to have to go through what I like to call garbage time here. We talk about this in, in athletics a lot when the game is over, but you just got to go through the motions. A goat getting added here, pulling up that lore a little bit closer. Sail the Azure at Sea, Inkable as well. Going to add another follower to the board. Cody has got everything he could possibly want here. Going to be able to take out this Dwarven Mine here if he wants as well. 7 Dwarfs Mine.
Yeah.
Looks like we're going to have a bunch of questing from these. Or no, these are all going to go into the mine. Then he's going to quest with these 2 characters as well. I think that gives him 5. It's going to bring him up to, I think, 13. Yep, Cody up to 13.
And we do have some. It's a Gantu, a great card, high lore. I mean, if we were closer, that would have been a threat that had to be dealt with, but not what he needed. Tough matchup here. And good job, Cody, winning the game, 2 games to none.
We've talked about a lot of the top decks in the meta. We've seen them on camera quite a bit here. We got to see Blurple this round. One of the decks